On Tuesday morning, I went to the ophthalmologist, and there I got my eyes dilated. Now, I've had my eyes dilated before, but never like this. This particular ophthalmologist was using industrial strength chemicals, military grade chemicals to dilate my eyes. My pupils, which are normally a reasonable size in nature and more or less blue, were suddenly these massive inky orbs taking up the better part of my eye. It was alarming, was mildly terrifying. The only thing that was stranger than looking at my eyes was looking through them. Suddenly, the world was this explosion of light. Every light source, every street lamp or light on coming from a car looked like a child's drawing of a star. Spikes coming out of it, flaring out of the light source. And every object looked like an overexposed photo, blown out and amorphous and blurry at the edges. It was like the ophthalmologist had gifted me with a drug trip or possibly an ecstatic vision. It was way, way too much light. We often talk about the season of Advent and then Christmas as the season of light. This is a time when we put lights on trees, we put lights on our homes, we put lights on street lamps, and we hear the image of light in Scripture as well. Jesus is the light of the world. We just heard these famous words from John. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not overcome it. That is justly celebrated language. There's something archetypal and powerful about it. I think we've all had the experience, I suspect we've all had the experience of being lost in the dark and being grateful for a flashlight or a candle or a light in a distant window that leads us home. Today, however, after that experience on Tuesday morning at the ophthalmologist, and after the experience that is 2020 more broadly, I am wondering not about Advent as a season of light, but rather Advent as a season of holy darkness. I am wondering about the season coming to us and offering us comfort in a time when there is just too much, when life is too much, and we are very nearly blinded when we look at reality. Because 2020 has been a year of too much. It has featured too much time alone. Gone is a coffee or a meal with friends. Gone is gathering at Christmas. Gone, for those of us who love church, is getting together in the pews on a night like this one and singing hymns and lighting candles and enjoying coffee hour and communion together. And paradoxically, for those of us who live with other people, this is also a time of too much time with other people. Those things somehow exist together. 2020 has been a year of too much time on screens. We are worn down, speaking of eyes, by the end of the day by so much Zoom and texting and email. And it is a year of too much hard news. To choose just one example in a year of overwhelming news, I reckon it's going to take us years, it's going to take us decades to reconcile ourselves to do the work of grieving for the pandemic. 320,000 of our fellow citizens are dead, almost assuredly. The real number is actually higher than that. That's how many are officially gone. More across the globe. And then there are all of those who did not die, but remained debilitated. Weeks or months after they had the coronavirus, they are worn down and exhausted. These are the long haulers, some of whom are members of this community here at Grace. Stephen King, the horror novelist, said that if we want to understand the scale of the coronavirus, we should imagine the entire city of St. Louis being abruptly, violently wiped out. This is the scale of what we have lost. And this does not even touch the economic devastation, all those who are suffering financial hardship. It's a year of too much. It's a year where we have to shade our eyes from the intensity of what we are seeing. In Scripture, there is the story of the conversion of St. Paul. It's a famous story. You may know, you probably know it, you may know it. Paul, at this point, is still known as Saul. He is still persecuting the early church, and he's on his way to Damascus, and there he has this heavenly vision. He is confronted by Jesus. None of his fellow travelers can see or hear Jesus, but Saul can see Jesus. He is surrounded by this light. He falls down, and he's blinded. And up until my experience on Tuesday, up until my experience of this year, I always imagined Saul's blindness as being this wall of darkness, of being just too much dark. But I wonder now if his experience is not rather one of too much light. If in that moment Saul is confronted by all of the evil and the hurt in the world, and in particular all of the evil and the hurt for which he is directly and indirectly responsible, and it overwhelms him. He cannot see with so much coming at him. In a way, this is like the Transfiguration, when John and James and Peter go up the mountain with Jesus, and they cannot look at Jesus because he is shining so brightly. This is like those experiences of the soldiers, only recently declassified, who are made to march towards the nuclear explosion in the deserts of Nevada and New Mexico. It is maybe like that scene in Moby Dick where they first confront the whale, and the whale comes out of the water and is this wall of impossible, terrifying whiteness. It's a light that is too much. This whiteness is overwhelming. It is too much. In a moment like that, we long for the dark. And I wonder if that is what in Advent and Christmas Jesus offers to us. If Jesus offers holy, healing darkness. Jesus, who's the light of the world, offers darkness to us. Now, to be clear, I'm not suggesting this is a rebuttal or a rejection of Jesus as the light of the world. One of my theses is that we need more words for God, not fewer, more metaphors for God, not fewer. So I invite us to think about holy darkness sitting alongside the light of the world, not instead of it. I wonder if Jesus offers this darkness, offers this place of comfort. Here's the Christ child in the stable, in this darkness, and we're invited in. Because Jesus is born into a world of too much. He is born into poverty. We know this because there is no room for his family at the inn. And if you're wealthy and connected, there's always room for you at the inn. Even if they're officially sold out, they can find a way of letting you in. We know that he and his family are poor because when it comes time to take the newborn child to the temple and offer a sacrifice, his family chooses the cheapest possible sacrifice, 2 doves. Jesus is born into occupation, into the brutality of Roman rule, the arbitrary violence, the fear of that. And Jesus is born, like essentially all of our ancestors prior to vaccination, into a time when diseases like the coronavirus show up abruptly when they tear through a population. Typhoid, leprosy, measles, who knows what else. These things are part of his life, and they change and end people's lives abruptly. It's a world of too much, a world that you can't look at for too long like the sun without burning your eyes. And in it, Jesus offers holy darkness. There he is, the newborn child in the room with his parents and their friends and the animals all around. This is this new life into the world. This is a place of creativity and love. Before that, before the darkness of this room, there's the darkness of the womb. And there he is. There is Jesus in this place of newness, of growth, of communion, also of love. And still before that, way before that, Jesus is there in the darkness of the beginning. So we hear from John that in the very beginning, the Word is with God. Richard Rohr says that Jesus is God's first idea. When everything is dark, when creation is not even a few lines in God's notebook, when creation is an empty and dark space, an empty and dark stage, there Jesus is with God. The dark is this place of holy imagination. Some 30 years after Jesus' birth, Jesus will say to his followers, "Come, all of you who are heavy laden, and I will refresh you. I will give you rest, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light." And I wonder if what he means by that is something like this. In a world that is too much, in a world where we are overwhelmed by the light, blinded by the light, Jesus offers us this darkness for a while, this place where we can go and refresh ourselves, renew ourselves, rest a while until we go back to the work that Jesus has called us into, go back into the light. So come be with Jesus. Step into the room with the animals, with his parents. There he is in the scrubbed out trough. Rest there a while. Let your eyes adjust to the holy darkness. Be with Jesus as he offers you rest. Rest in this time of light and rest in this time of dark. Rest there with Jesus in the dark where the new things begin. Happy Christmas, friends.